Batley Buggy Club, round 5 baby, let's go. So back from my holiday from Scotland, feeling all refreshed and rejuvenated for racing. See if we can't carry on chasing my goal now for reaching the top 30 in Batley Buggy Club's second winter championship type thing. You know what I mean. And as Dean so successfully drove my car in round 4, he now has that car. So I was forced into using my, shall we say, B car, but it's kind of not my B car anymore because now I've got another B7. So this would be the B car for the C car for the... Anyway, I use this one, not with this shell though. Now this car, you kind of think everything will be the same, but it isn't. I had loads of little subtle differences with this car compared to the other car I've been running, which I hadn't noticed. Things like the anti-roll bar, I didn't have that on the other B7, so it would be interesting to see if that makes a significant difference or not. I'd also not moved I don't know how to describe it, there'll be a name for it here. This spacer there on the other car, I'd moved that so the whole hub carrier was set lower than higher. Again, I don't really know the technical names for some of this, so I'm just going off it. Not sure what oil was in the shocks front and back, so that's something we need to look at and change. And other than that, you know, kind of the same, I suppose. The only other noticeable difference that I didn't see until halfway through was, and I'm sure, I don't know if it'll show up, there's where the rear arms are, there's a gap and a spacer that is in between the top where you feed the pin through. See, these are all technical terms from us non-professional racers. Anyway, there's a spacer there. And in my other car, the spacer is at the top, so the whole of the rear arm sits a couple of mil forward. Now in this one, it sits a couple of mil back. Now my layman's interpretation of that is a longer chassis. So if I'm spacing the wheels further apart, the more stable the platform it is, a bit more consistent. If you shorten the chassis, as my experience with the minis and the hot hatches has taught me in the past, the shorter the chassis, the more twitchy, you get better turns and things like that, but it's definitely more twitchy as a car to drive. That's my interpretation of this, we'll see how it goes. So Q1, and I've got to admit, it felt like I was kind of starting from scratch with it being a different car and things being just that little bit different. Felt like I was starting from scratch. The other B7 I had quite well dialed in, and yes, with hindsight, what I should have done is sold Dean that one rather than that one, but hey, never mind. We live and learn, don't we? We live and learn. Anyway, the front tyres had definitely seen better days, and the rear cactuses, they'd seen better days, so the car felt numb. There wasn't a lot of feedback coming from the car. It drove okay, but I think I only did 15 laps. As I'm slowly learning with the buggy game, it's a little bit like Formula 1. If you haven't got your tyre game properly dialed in and sorted, you really are struggling and scrounging around sometimes. Anyway, Q2. Newest Army rears, and that immediately jumped me from 15 laps to 16 lap pace because I hadn't changed anything else on the car other than that. So all of a sudden the car had a bit of drive and traction coming out of the corners, just felt a bit better to drive. So it was time to rummage around in the box and see if we can't find some less worn front tyres. Q3, right, let's go. 17 laps, we've got brand new as armies on the back, we've got definitely less worn front tyres on now, and I'd also increased the drag brake from 13 to 14, which was helping the car rotate on the corners. I know you pro racers will say, no, we don't use that to get the car to rotate, you use that to get the car to stop. I know, but I'm not a pro racer and it just seemed to help. So I moved the drag brake from 13% to 14%. car seemed to come into a corner and I was off power, so it was pulling back and it seemed to just pivot around. I think that's the right way of going about things. Put in the comments other things I can do to improve that. Anyway, all those things considered, voila, 17 laps. Happy days, quite pleased with that. And that kind of left me, the 17 laps is kind of where I'd left the other car. I'd moved beyond 16 laps and was getting a consistent 17 out of it. So within space of a practice heat and 2 qualifiers, I'm back up to the pace of the other car. Yeah, I was happy with that. Let's see if Q4 I can consolidate. So Q4 came around, and as I say, I'm not necessarily looking to set the world on fire here. I just want that consistency to stay. And it did. I did another 17 laps. Things I'm learning now with my driving is I'm still a little bit hesitant. I'm not as, I think aggressive is the wrong word to use. That isn't how I would describe my driving style. Shall we say I need to build more confidence in my ability and the car's ability to do what I think it's going to do, and to hit my lines a little bit better, as I used to say with the minis all the time. If drifting, 5-6 inches wide every single corner across the course of 20 corners, you're losing a second a lap. So it's all tiny little marginal gains now. But yeah, the car drove well. I drove well with very few snafus. So yeah, pleased with that. So this brings us to the finals, and would you believe it? I'm on pole in the D final. No pressure then. And here's where things got a little bit interesting. So as we start accumulating and mulling around the sort of the area to put our cars down, and everybody starts chatting with who's racing and who's in this race, it turns out that Team Snafu have done okay today. We've got myself on pole, we've got Ian starting in 6th place, and we've got Mark starting in 10th. So Team Snafu should be on for a reasonable result here. However, little did we know that Team Dando had also come up with the same plan to invade the D final and see if they could scupper our plans. So we had Team Dando with Josh starting in 2nd place, he's a fast driver and was breathing down my neck. He breathes down my neck on the podium though as well, so I think that says more about him than my driving. Anyway, we also had Julian starting in 4th, we had Stuart starting in 7th and Ben in 8th. So it was kind of a Team Snafu versus Team Dando event this, and anybody else that was in the race, you could either pick up the pieces or stay out of the way. So this obviously produced all this banter at the start. Now, we're not going to pick names or point fingers or anything, but yeah, giggles were had. Any road, with those shenanigans out of the way, let's see how we get on. Okay, so lining up on the grid, and I'm in pole position, so let's see if we can capitalise on that from the start and not fluff it into a wall in the first corner. It's not so bad, we're away. Over the hump, around the corner, over the 2 jumps, big jump. Yep. Oh, and that is where it all went wrong at the start. Shouldn't have tried to jump the double. I hadn't been jumping it all through qualifying. What on earth possessed me to have a go at jumping that? Should have just rolled it. So that puts me in 5th. But there's a scramble, and this is going to turn me out into 4th. Yeah, 4th place, here we go, round 3rd. Oh, again, why am I trying to jump that? I haven't jumped it once, all of qualifying, I haven't tried jumping it once. You get to a final and your head falls off. Right, battle with the green car now, round the corner. Come on Dando, get out of the way Team Dando. Yep, through, up the inside. There you go. Rolled them jumps. Down straight. Solid 3rd place. Right, here we go. Let's try to get after 1 and 2 now. Or at the very least, don't let them check out from the front. Much better when I roll those jumps, rather than trying to clear that double. No, they're not getting away. We're holding them for the time being.
So Josh and Mark, 1 and 2, absolutely together on track.
Come on, Bren. Keep your head down, keep going. Lap 5, still in 3rd. Maybe 4 or 5 seconds on us. Josh looks like he's just took Mark there. Nothing between them though. Over the double again. Come on. Go and hunt Mark down now.
So Brendan closes it slightly on that one, but still.
I think Mark had a bit of a snafu there, so he's dropped a bit of time back on Josh. Oh, not too much. Come on, Brent, keep going, keep going. Car got better as the day went on. I felt more confident with it. So, oh, right, Mark's had a bit of an issue there, so that's me up into second. That issue will turn out to be a mechanical, so it's a bit terminal, I'm afraid. So that puts me up into second, and I'm now closing on some back markers. Yep. Mark's car's still there, so he's going to lap down. I think it's game over there, buddy. Which is a shame. Right, over the double, over the two little kickers, round onto the straight. Let's go and get after that guy.
Lapping, dude.
Yeah, thank you.
Whoever that was.
Brendan is purple and is it green?
Kind of.
Much preferring this layout of track to the one we had at the previous round with that big kicker in the middle.
Careful coming on to the straight, please.
I won't necessarily say this one's easier to drive, but it's a little bit more forgiving on mistakes. Oh, car's had a problem there.
Coming up to
Getting
lap.
away. Go on, let me through, thank you.
Drivers here.
Closing in now to lap. To lap. one of Team Dando.
Seconds last time.
And will it be an easy pass? No. So I took him out there, so not really intentionally, we just tangled wheels. Had a bit of a guilt trip, and I've done the right thing, I've pulled over. Now, the next time you see this cat, oh, it's upside down, what's he doing upside down? I'm waiting for him. And now it's coming at me upside down. Now, why didn't you set off, Bren? At that point, you should have set off. But I didn't, I waited. I did the etiquette thing, I've gone up the inside, and he's come back round me. God's sake. Shake of the head there. There may have been some frustrated words coming from an irritated Brendan on the podium then racing, but never mind. I can look back with a big grin. The green and the yellow wheels does look well. I'm sure them are my colours, but I just haven't done a shell yet, because all these shells I keep getting from these B7s I'm buying, they're nice, so I don't see the point at the minute. Now, come on, green car. Out the road. I think at this point I've dropped down to 4th or 5th. It's a bit of a run to the line at the minute, I think. So this will be our last lap. Try to put a pass on. Oh, and just tangle wheels again. Just racing. That's just racing. And I tried to jump over him then. Optimistic move. So all in all, I end up, we're at 4th or 5th, can't remember. But if I hadn't waited, I'd have had 2nd place then, so that's annoying. But never mind, good race, guys. What the fudge? Right, first of all, tip of the cap, Josh. You sort of made it into 1st place and just disappeared. Mark, you had a mechanical, so that kind of throws you out. But from 10th to 2nd place is one hell of a move with the first 5 or 6 laps, buddy. So you were going well. I was in 3rd. We were flying. Team was flying. Managed to get up to 2nd place after Mark's mechanical, so it's not really a pass, more of a, here, you can have that place, Bren. But anyway, 2nd place is 2nd place. My race is going well. And then, back markers. But not really anybody's fault. This is what happens with open wheel racing. Caught a wheel, managed to take that green car out. As I came round, I felt a bit guilty about it, so I pulled over to let him catch me, and we sort of start again. I didn't want him to feel as though I'd scuppered him on purpose, which I didn't. I didn't do it on purpose, but did take him out. So I waited, and yeah, then I waited a bit more. Then his car came past me upside down. At that point, I should have set off, but I didn't. And yeah, well, it is what it is, and I ended up in 4th place. Got to stay on top of me awareness. I've said this in the previous thing, that I need to start being a bit more aware of who's where on the track. Now my driving seems to be a bit more of a consistent standard. I need to start being a bit more aware of where I am on track and what's going around me with regard to the bigger picture. Easier said than done when you're trying to focus on your little 1/10 buggy whizzing up and down as fast as you can. But it is something that would help that situation in the future. And maybe I should have called out lapping a bit louder or something along those lines. So, as with everything, it's always a learning curve. But yeah, good race. Yeah, solid good race. And where does this leave me now overall in the championship for my little revised goal of top 30? I'd really like the top 30. I'm going to be gutted when I end up in 50. But anyway, that's by the by. We'll aim high, or higher than I was aiming previously, and see where we end up. So the goal is top 30, and we are currently in 33rd. And would you believe who's in 32nd place? Can't get away from Team Dando. So we're just 2 more rounds now of Batley's last winter series before I think their AstroTurf goes down on their new track and everybody goes outdoors and goes trying to get a suntan or racing with umbrellas. The big question remains, will I be able to stay and maintain a top 30 position? That'd be nice, but we'll see. So as always, my thanks go out to the guys at Batley Buggy Club who arranged this event. It were always ran without a hitch. Good commentary on the mics, guys. Thanks so much for putting it on. It is appreciated on a Saturday. There's not just me that say it all the time, but other lads in the pits always say it's a well-run event. Thanks as always to MB Models for hosting it at their raceway. And we'll just leave with this, that although Team Dando may have got the victory this time, I believe it's your missus that needs all the praise, because I'm under the impression it weren't even your car you were running. So clearly the brains of the operation, pal, is your wife, because she's the one that set that car up, because it's her car. And we'll leave it at that. Toodle pip, guys. Thanks as always for watching.